Yeah, this your boy Cruise. I'm wrong with CRCN74 FM, the People's Channel. We're live on the air with my man 50 Grand D Gott Dangla in the house. You know what I'm saying? Representing. So, we're going to talk to y'all, the people, about some real life stuff that's going on. My man D Gott Dangla got some topics with, he's got a project called Changing the World Starts With You. So, D, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Elaborate on that a little bit and explain to the people what that's all about.
Sure. No worries, guys. I hope everybody's doing all right today in this crazy world. It's always been crazy, but it gets crazier and crazier every day. The reason why I started this group called Changing the World Starts With You is it's a Facebook page, CTWSWY, Changing the World Starts With You. I started this group because information that needed to be out in the world would be a good way to get people knowledge they need. So I grew up, in a time where I needed information that I didn't have, and people may have had it but didn't know how to give it to me. But nowadays we have social media and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so that's a possibility for us to get information that we need. Even for people who don't know things or people who do know things, post stuff on there. And this is not no dumb like ice bucket challenge thing. Not saying that that's dumb or anything, but because it's for a good cause. But we need something else beside that. We need a way to change the world.
Right.
And so my whole thing was that. And on my page, it's a little bit of everything. I'm a firm believer in your rights. Okay, guys, as American citizens and as any kind of citizens of anywhere you're at, you have rights that you have as a citizen of whatever. We're in the United States, so as a citizen of the States, we have the Bill of Rights and our amendments.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we are enforcing these. And I'm not saying the government's corrupt or anything. I'm not going to be the one who throw bricks at that or throw rocks at that, because I'm not going to be judged. The Bible says you be judged not. Sorry, Matthew 7:7. Excuse me, I said that wrong. But you guys know what I'm talking about. But the thing is with that is that we have to be able to give the information that we need. So my rights as American citizens are taught at such a young age that by the time we're in college, like for me, we didn't forgot them already. So that's one of the problems that we need to address. It needs to be taught in high school at a higher age, because at 7th graders and 8th graders, I'm sure you guys don't remember anything that you learned in 7th or 8th grade, especially if you graduated high school now. You don't remember that much stuff. But that stuff can really save your life, A lot of people don't know their rights, and cops are abusing the power that they have, because cops by law, if you guys do not know this, have a right to lie to you.
So, what topics exactly, what concerns do you have exactly that you want to reach out to the people and kind of help open their eyes and open their minds and hearts to that really trouble you, things that you've witnessed in your young age? You're what, 22?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of things in my 40 years myself, and the times are changing. People are changing. There's definitely some type of paradigm shift that's been going on in the universe where people are, things are just, people are fed up, and the government and the people in charge are abusing and have been abusing their privileges and their authority for some time. So go ahead and tell us some of the concerns that you might have that you would like to share in opening these people's hearts and minds. Go ahead.
One of the things that I've been thinking about recently is the younger kids are being more pressed to drugs and different things like that, and by my page, what I'm doing is I'm looking at videos of people who pop mollies and all the new drugs and bath salts for that, and I'm showing them how they could possibly act, because of course when I was younger we had drugs too, but nowadays it's more, kids are growing a lot faster than I came up, so to speak. There's 14-year-olds acting like they're 18, wearing clothes like they're 18, and their parents aren't really doing anything about it. They're letting them do it. So if parents won't censor their children, then who will? The social media is not going to do it. The school is not going to do it. So it has to start at home. So I'm hoping that I can get individuals to kind of join my group. I'm not an adult yet. I'm not a parent yet, so I can't really tell you how to raise a child. But, the Bible tells us train up a child in the way they should go, and when they should get old, they shall not depart from it. So what you do now while that child is young determines what they can do or what they will do when they get older as far as morals and values in life goes, So if you let your daughter walk around in a miniskirt and she's 14, can you imagine what she's going to wear when she's 20?
That's true.
So, and even I'm not just talking about women, even for guys.
Well,
You know.
there are many different opinions that people have, and many different points of view. And by the way, once you tune into this, feel free to comment. This will be posted on Facebook and so on and so forth. And you're welcome to comment. We are open to all opinions. We don't care whether hateful, whether polite, whether loving or otherwise. We want to know what the people think, and everybody has their points of view, and all points of view are welcomed and are just equally important. Everybody has their reasons for why they believe what they believe, and that's what we care about. We care about what do the people actually believe. It doesn't matter if it's angry or hateful or loving or has God in it or otherwise. We're not here to judge. We're just here to open people's lives, change people's lives, and open people's minds. So as I was saying, there are many different points of views, and so there are many people. Just be prepared that will be open and ready to challenge you and not disrespect, but disagree with your points of view. So just be on the lookout for that. But again, like you're saying, it's necessary because it helps you to know where you stand and where other people stand in the light of these things that we're discussing. You've mentioned something about race before when we were talking, and how that plays a role in a lot of things that's going on. You've mentioned, the police brutalities and the different types of abuse of privileges that the protective bodies and the government and the people that are above us and are elected and otherwise to serve us are taking advantage of those privileges. We've discussed a great deal of things. So, go ahead and, again, share with the public your thoughts on those points of view.
Well, everybody knows what's been going on with police brutality and stuff like that. Police brutality is not just starting up. It's not nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. And I'm not even going to give you guys a date because it can go back into the 60s. It can go back into the 50s and the 40s and the 20s. It goes back a tremendous amount of time. However, when I was growing up, we had guns, but we didn't really carry guns. If I got into a fight with somebody, it was me fighting him. That was it. But nowadays, to me, people are afraid to get into fights because they fear for their life so much. Because back then, like I said, and then times have changed. When I got into a fight, if the dude's on the ground, I let him get up. I fight him like a man. But nowadays, people don't want to fight like that. It's all about stomping the person while they're on the ground. I know this is off the topic with police brutality, but there's so much that you got to have morals in life. You got to know when to stop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if not, then what's different between us and animals?
So what you're addressing basically is the mentality of the individuals in a given situation.
Yes.
And you're saying that what are you saying exactly? That people need to work on their different types of mentalities, or what are you trying to get at with all that?
The different types of mentalities has a big part in it, and as far as morals go too, because if I don't change the way that I am, then I can't change nobody else. I can't sit here and tell you to do something if I'm not willing to make that change myself. And as far as police brutality goes, if you guys know your rights, I can't say it'll stop you from getting beat by the cops or whatever, but it may help you prevent it. Because if they tell you to get on the ground and you feel like that's not right, well, then you fight the cop or you touch a cop. That's technically assault on a cop because you touch a cop. You're not even allowed to touch a police officer unless he's okay with it. If he feels threatened by it, then you can get tased, you can get shot, you can get beat, and possibly arrested, for assault.
Right.
At this point of time, it's our word against theirs, and they're the cops, so they're going to always have pretty much the right of way, And one thing that people don't do when they get pulled over or get harassed by cops or get assaulted by cops and stuff like that, they don't file a report about it because they think that nothing's going to happen.
Right.
However, we don't know the true meaning behind that because we don't know if it does or not. But it's best to file that claim because if that police officer is doing it to you, who knows who else is doing it to. So if you file that report, that just may be the same thing that happened to somebody else last week. And the paper trails is like evidence. So let's say the cop beats me, let's say the cop beats somebody else, and then he goes next week and shoots somebody. Well, they're going to be like, well, this cop's been doing this for weeks, and they have record of it. So they may say, well, okay, well, maybe we actually trial him for something instead of cops getting suspended.
Right. Right.
But one thing that I saw, this guy had, it's on my Facebook page, Change the World Starts With You. He made a rap about, it's called Cops Are, or I think it's, criminals of permission. You know, because they have permission to do those things to you unless we stand up to them. And I'm not talking about violently standing up to them, because violence gets you nowhere.
Right.
Violence gives the cops a right to assault you, a right to put you, take you out. You know, if you're that big of a threat to them.
Can you shout out that artist's name? If there's a
see
message that he's trying to portray and put out there for the public to be aware of.
If I can find it, I'm not sure what his name was. But if you guys,
but you said it's cops killing with permission.
Criminals with of permission is the what?
Criminals of permission.
Of permission. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you. It's actually somebody that shared it onto mine. I think the artist is Jay. I think it's Fetty, Jay Fetty John or something like that. I may not be saying it correctly. But it's on my page. So if you guys go to my page, you'll see it on there.
And what page is that?
Changing the World Starts With You.
Changing the World Starts With You. So tune in and check that out. And Jay Fetty, I guess, if that's the artist's name, you know, you guys can feel free to check that out and see the message that he has to share about the police brutality and the rights of people being taken away and people with authority abusing their authority. Mm-hmm. We take a 5-minute break, and then after that we'll be back. So again, this is D Gott Dangla.
Thank you guys.
Cruz and Ram here, Radio CRZN 74 FM, the People's Channel. We are live on the air. We will tune in back in just a moment.
I try and tell the woman that feet go away, but you know the girl is still a come. They try to keep me from all good things. Judge's blessings running over and fall all over me. My God, running over. I know it's hard, but I got to break free. Just children, or you wanna have the enemy kill them behind a corrupted system. That's telling me that we lose one another and to save them. Return unto Judge's children and bring forth this kingdom. Lord, gonna follow. I try to tell the woman if he go away, but now the woman never come. Them try to take from them island. Judge's kingdom, but Judge's blessings running over. My God, running over. Judge's love just like a waterfall. Yeah, yeah. My problem with the girls is them tempting. It seems like everything is like so tempting, but Judge understand that we.
All right. This is your man once again, Cruz and Ram with Radio CRZN 74 FM, the People's Channel. Live on the air once again with D Gott Dangla.
What's up?
We left off with the artist that you were talking about, so you want to check him out. His name is J Flea Daddy John, and he has a message to bring about the authority abuse that the cops are showing to the public and displaying and acting out, carrying out, what have you. Again, so we have Changing the World Starts With You, a program with D Gott Dangla. Those of you who don't know him by that name knows him as Devin White or D Smooth 41. Yeah. So check him out. We also are going to touch base on a little bit more of some other concerns we have concerning maybe religion and God and taking God out of everything, and so on and so forth. So go ahead and tell us a little bit more about some of the other concerns that you might have.
Well, religion is a big thing, you know, and coming from a family that I was brought up in Christianity, a Church of Christ member. One of the big things is that, you know, what I just saw on Facebook today was that they're trying to take the God out the pledge.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of a sore subject to speak about because people feel differently about God. People feel differently about Christianity, and you know, every religion came together to make up the United States. So I'm not gonna ever say that, you know, that it's never right or never wrong to do such a thing.
Right.
But if they're doing it because people are coming over here and they're not if they are getting offended by it, well, this is the way this country was when it was founded. So you have the freedom to your religion, but this has been here. This pledge has been going on since I was a kid. I mean, who knows? Were you doing it whenever you were a kid, Mo?
But as
I
far
pledge
as
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
well, you know, we did it, and it wasn't a problem when I did it as a kid in grade school, you know, and we kept God and everything in it, and church was more, you know, church was more prevalent, I believe, more when I was younger. So, yeah, you know, everything was about God, you know. Yeah, the people believed more in God, but, you know, touching base on the religion thing, I'm not a religious person myself. I've been raised, you know, many things, Catholic, Protestant, Catholic or Lutheran, or, you know, under the evangelical church, and I've tried Mormonism. I've tried it all because I wanted to see the worldview on religion and God and what they believed in, because it wasn't just about what I was taught. I wanted to know what, you know, other people
What they thought about it too.
Yeah, what they thought and what they were taught, and what their traditions were. And I just believe that people get religion and tradition mixed up. I think that religion, to me personally, is just an opinion, is just a means of controlling people by fear and telling people that if you don't do this or you don't do that, that you're going to die and God's going to this and you're not going to get into heaven and you're going to go to hell and all this and that. And I, you know, listen, I believe that God is our creator. I believe in a God. I believe that Jesus, or the Messiah, is a symbol of true love. I believe that it's a symbol of, to me, an example, a way of showing us, man, listen, you know, this is how you should live. You know, don't judge, don't point the finger, stay out of people's business, love one another, just be, and stop trying to be over one another. You know, and the world would be a different place, you know. You know, he says the kingdom of heaven is within. So if it's within us to have the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of heaven is a great place, then we have it in us to make this world a better place, a great place.
That's right.
And we can heal each other through prayer and faith and trust in one another. You know, sometimes just making somebody smile heals them. You know, the significant things such as touch, and you know, helps people. They've shown miracles all around the world where someone was on their deathbed and someone gave them a hug and kiss and showed them they were there, and that person pulled through. You know, I believe in that kind of love and connectivity, and I think that's
even
you
just
know,
talking to people, you know, because nowadays people don't really have a conversation like they used to. They're so busy on their phone and playing games and stuff that they don't even talk to each other. I'm in college now at Austin Community College, ACC,
Right.
in Cypress Creek. And one of the things that we're trying to work on is actually building the community to where people will feel comfortable talking to people. And nowadays it's hard to talk to people, or they feel it's hard to talk to people because they don't know if they can trust them or not.
Exactly.
But, you know, in the other turn is that, how do I not know if I can trust you if I don't talk to you too as well? So you can't live in fear.
Well, that's what we've been taught. People are conditioned to believe certain things, and they're not realizing that these things that we're being conditioned to follow suits a purpose for someone else in power. And we're the ones that are losing out.
Exactly.
You know, for example, I have a friend of mine that is a very honest person, and his honesty is not rewarded, but it's benefiting those people who are not even aware of his honesty. And then when he's honest, making them be honest about certain things that they're doing, it cost him his job, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
And they have no idea what he's been doing for them, and they're part of the church. It's that thing that I'm talking about. You know, this is the church, a thing that stood, it was sacrilegious. You would never dare do anything against the church. You know what I'm saying? You know, because people had a great respect for God and the sanctity of the church. And nowadays, we're being so filled up and you know, with things that the people are starting to not believe in the crap that they're being fed.
Yeah.
And now they're waking up. And I'm glad for this new awakening, because now we can start to really find the truth. Let's get to the grounded truth, you know, to the bottom line truth. The people deserve it. We need to know it. We need to understand, you know, not just rights for certain things, but as human beings, the one race that has been completely removed from the chart itself. I mean, you talk about, everybody talks about black and white and Hispanic and this and that.
Yeah.
But the one race that has been completely put to the side is the human race. That's the race. Yep. It's not a black and white thing. It's humans. We are all human beings. We just happen to be different colors, but we come from different regions, and we have different adaptabilities to these regions, and we're mixing each other together, so we're going to be different. My greatest analogy, the rainbow. What makes the rainbow the rainbow? The colors of the rainbow, the colors that come together to make the rainbow itself.
Exactly.
As a whole. You get what I'm saying? If it was one blue thing in the bar, we wouldn't see it because it matched the sky.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why the rainbow has all the different colors it has. It shows a togetherness, and as a togetherness, we can make something beautiful. Thus, the rainbow.
Exactly.
And I'm through.
And I like that analogy. That's really good, because I was going to
Thank
say
you.
something is that as long as we see each other as a black man, as a white man, as a Hispanic man, as an Asian, as a Korean, we'll never see each other as the same, because
Right.
it will always be different.
Exactly.
Even though I have the same heart type as you, I have heartbeat, the same structure of bones, the same eyes that we see out of
The basic makeup,
the basic makeup. Like you were saying, we come from different areas of the world, but we're still the same. And as long as we
Exactly.
continue to look at each other through differently like that, then we'll never be able to work together. And one thing I like, one of my favorite quotes is, "Together we stand, divided we fall."
Right.
Because that's exactly how it is. As long as there's indifference between us, then I can't work with you. As long as I'm still holding a grudge of how the white man beat or enslaved the black people in this country, I can't. If that's keeping me from being that, then I have to let that go.
Exactly.
But I won't forget it. I'll let it go, but I won't forget it. But I won't use that against him. Because if I'm holding a grudge against something, then I never really let it go. It's no point of me saying that, I forgive you for it if I'm still going to hold it, So
Right.
we have to be able to work together as a whole. So the question is, I should be asking the world is that, how are we going to change that? How are we going to change how the world looks at black people? Since I'm not saying black people are bad, but that's kind of what the image is being portrayed as, black people being bad. They got us getting beat by the cops. They got us getting shot by the cops. They got us getting,
Right.
throwing back. And I think it's in Missouri, right? Or Detroit? I forgot what town it
the
was.
bigger question is you mentioned something about how the world looks at black people. How about we just not look at the world as black people or white
that's
people or anything of that nature? Look at people as people.
As people.
People have faults. People have differences. People have things.
And
grass isn't eating the other grass because one is sawgrass, the other one's crabgrass, the other one's bluegrass or St. Augustine or anything like that. Grass is grass is grass. And if you put it in the yard, you'll have patches of different grass, but the grass still grows. You don't see another type of grass that, well, because there's crabgrass over here and we're St. Augustine, we're not going to grow over there. No, it's all grass. Grass doesn't care. And that's kind of silly, people will think, but I'm driving home something. Once we stop looking at people as black people and white people and this people and that people, then maybe we can start truly coming together as a people. We start seeing less different and more of us being the same. We are the same. If I shoot you, you'll die. If you shoot me, I'll die. If I cut you, you'll bleed. If you cut me, I'll bleed. The only thing is maybe your skin color is lighter than mine. Maybe your eyes are a little bit different. Your hair is a little bit different. But nonetheless, you have eyes. You have hair. You have skin. You have blood. You have a pulse. You have breath. You were born one day. You grow older. And one day you will die. Just the same as me. We need to cut this bullshit out. And I'm sorry to be cussing on the radio, but it's the truth. We need to cut this crap. We need to cut the crap. We need to stop feeding into this system that is causing corruption in the minds of our children, segregation. Because if you look at children, that's another great point.
Yeah.
When you look at a daycare center, you don't see kids playing with different races. They play together because they're children. They are kids, and they're having fun. It's about play. It's about fun. They're not saying, I'm not going to play with you because you're black or your hair is different. They play together, even if they come from racist backgrounds. They play together. We need to be more like children. We need to just love freely of our hearts and stop this crap that we're being fed. And stop being conditioned cattle to doing the things that we're told to do. Stand up for ourselves, know our rights, and the system needs to stop taking advantage of the people.
Exactly. One thing that I saw that kind of bothered me too, talking about children, is that they did this thing, and it was on black children, black girls and black boys, and they had dolls and stuff, and they said which one, and
I saw that.
And even this, I'm gonna go to another level too in a second, but they said which one is the pretty one. It was a black doll and a white doll. They said the white doll, but it's that bad that it's affecting our children, that they are coming already depressed. And what were you saying about a country that's depressed? Whatever earlier you were talking about how
why the world is so full of anxiety and stuff like that.
Something like that you had said earlier.
Yeah. Well, the world is anxious, because there's so many rules, there's so much going on, and people don't know they don't know which way to go. We're starting to feel like we're drowning, and we don't know which way's up to come out of the water and catch our breath. There's so much stuff going on. There's so many rules, and there's so many stipulations to those rules, and laws and bylaws, and the little laws in between, the little things in the fine print in between, that we don't even know what our rights are anymore. I mean, they're starting to wipe out and take away everything and find ways to override and bypass things, especially in situations like, for example, you got a lot of men. When I was coming up, finding a good man to stick around and take care of his kids was a very difficult thing. Men they didn't want it. They didn't have nothing. Man, I'm out of here, man. The woman, and she's too much. I'm out. Nowadays I'm finding that there are more men that want to be a part of their children's lives, that really care and love their children. I'm one of them. Yeah. And you have parents that are getting away with murder. They find the moms completely guilty of being an inadequate mother or an unfit mom or whatever, but just because they believe that the woman should have this thing, it's a new type of woman empowerment. And listen, I'm all for women being empowered. They were deprived a great many years for whatever reasons. It was a man's world. I get that. But not all men are the same. Not all men think the same. But women are not equal to men, physically and otherwise. That's what makes them women and what makes us men. And we need to recognize that and recognize the importance in each gender. The importance of a woman. We can do things that women cannot do, and women can certainly do things that men cannot do. Men cannot have children, okay? Men are built more physically strong. We have a stronger prowess than women do. We're the hunter-gatherer and the protector. So that being said, we're built with more dense bones. Now, there are some exceptions, but still, overall, we have that. But it does not give them the right that just because you were deprived, that you deprive good people of being good parents, raising their kids, loving their kids. You don't get to use children as leverage. You don't get to use children as weapons. You don't get to do that because you think that you're hurting the man or otherwise the woman, and there are women that are suffering that too, and I shout out y'all as well.